Hello everyone, I'm Mr. Garland, and today I'll be walking you through how to set up your reflection page for your junior argumentative research site. So here's our example, and as you can see, we have a title that's literally just called reflection page. That'll help us figure out what we're looking at, so don't feel the need to be super creative there. And then one big text box. There aren't a lot of other components to this particular section. It's mostly just you reflecting on your research process. So here are the parameters for the assignment. You want to write about 300 to 400 words reflecting on the research process and the writing process, and talk about how you found your information, how it might have changed your original perception of this argument. Anything that fits into those categories is absolutely relevant for the reflection page. Looking at the example that I typed up, I've got about 6 paragraphs and over 750 words. That's not something you have to do. However, if you go over the word count, that's totally fine. Just try not to go under, because then that shows us that you might not have spent enough time reflecting over this process that we've spent so much time working on. So, going over, you'll notice that in my example, I talk about how I was having trouble finding certain sections of my research. So I ended up starting there, but then having to take a break because I got frustrated. I went to a different section of my both sides. I found the research that I wanted. That also helped me come up with a new strategy for the research I wasn't finding. And then I went back and completed what I needed to finish. Overall, I found the process to be pretty straightforward. However, I did get frustrated when one of my sides didn't have nearly as much data to back up the claims that they were making. So that became a frustrating process because then I don't have any data to report. But what I ended up doing was going off of the credible sources that do make these claims and using that information to set up the other side where I prove that the data doesn't necessarily back up all of those claims. So in the end, I really did find that one side was certainly more data and research driven than the other, but I could find information for both sides, and I did present them as best I could and as authentically as I think both sides would present them, which was my challenge, having to put my feet in someone else's shoes, walk them. Who knows where I was going with that anecdote. But the idea was that, I really did try to see it from the other side to write that side. And I found interesting information while doing so. This is another good opportunity to write your written portion on a Google Doc so that you can find your spelling errors, your grammar issues, and all of that before you post it to Google Sites. And remember that the process of posting is really just creating a text box and then copying and pasting whatever you've written from your Google Doc. I did add some emphasis. There were times when I wanted to include my voice in this reflection, especially since it's written in the first person with a lot of I, me, my. So I bolded some terms. I used italics in other places just so you could get some nuance and imagine my voice while you're reading it. You could basically read this and hear my voice, which I'm so sorry that I've been cursing you with through all of these videos, but now you know exactly what this should sound like. Once you're done with that, you just need to remember to hit publish again so that we can see the progress that you've put on here and give you credit for the work you've done. After you hit publish, you have technically finished the last page of this website that we'll be working on. So go do a victory lap, but wash your hands and stay safe while you're doing it. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you again next week for our last week of English 6.